A young thief is surrounded by darkness as his hands and feet are getting stuck deeper and deeper into the sand. A monstrous figure emerges from the shadows and is about to devour him, but the young man suddenly wakes up. His friend Nahal has been repeatedly calling his name, Basim. As he gets up, he reveals that he was having that same nightmare again. The monstrous Jinni trying to harm him. However, there is no time for discussion because Basim has gotten another job for them. Nahal scolds him for taking on jobs from shady people who don't pay them well, but Basim argues that supporting a cause is sometimes more important than money. The two of them visit the market of Anbar, and Basim is quick to showcase his pickpocketing skills. Then they meet a man named Dervis, who appears to be the intermediary between Basim and his shady employers. This time, they want him to go to the harbor and steal a ledger. Basim wants to renegotiate his fee before he leaves for the mission, but Dervis tells him there's not going to be any discussion about the payment until he brings back what was asked of him. Basim acts fast and runs to the harbor, where he has to take out some guards and navigate his way around until he finds the ledger. Once he gets it, he returns to Dervis and sees him speaking with a woman, Roshan. Basim is excited because she must be a member of the group that employs him. On the other hand, Roshan is not in the mood for talking and just walks away with the ledger. Basim expresses his desire to work for her, while complaining that the contracts they are giving him are too easy to execute. However, Roshan mentions that she has already lost 2 skilled people in her most difficult missions, so there is no way a common thief could help her. After she walks away, Dervis snaps at Basim and orders him to keep himself in line the next time. Once they leave, Nahal tells Basim that he is too desperate to work for those people, even though they don't want him. Basim replies being a street thief is not his greatest ambition in life, so he wants to do something about it. While the two of them converse, a young boy named Jasib sneaks behind Basim to steal his money, but he is caught. Basim knows the boy and messes with him, saying he smells foul. When the boy reveals he has been fishing in the harbor all day, Basim asks him if he noticed any fuss about a chest. Jasib replies he noticed a beautiful black chest and is rewarded with a coin by Basim before walking away. Basim assumes Roshan wants that chest and decides to steal it for her in order to get her attention. Nahal believes that is a terrible idea, but also knows that Basim will be executed if he gets caught in that area, so she offers to assist him. On their way, Nahal states there is no meaning in Basim joining Roshan and her cast, but Basim believes they are going to help them create a better world. A world where everybody gets a chance to live a normal life. Once they are in the palace, they decide to wait for nightfall in order to play their plan out under the cover of the dark. When the time is right, the two of them make their move and enter the palace by sneaking past the guards. Nahal is able to find a door that leads to the Caliph's grand room, but the door is locked. Basim goes on the hunt and finds the guard who has the key. After knocking him out and returning with the key, they unlock the door and enter the grand room. There, they overhear the soldiers speaking about some guests that the Caliph is awaiting. Soon, they see the Caliph with their own eyes, and the latter instructs everybody to leave the room as his guests will be arriving soon. Although his son Abu insists on staying, the Caliph orders the soldiers to take him out. Then, the Caliph's guests arrive wearing masks on their faces. They immediately check on the chest, and the Caliph reassures them that it will be safely guarded in the palace. While the masked figures turn around to leave, the Caliph asks him if he can take a look at the chest's contents just once. The leader of the masked men walks near the Caliph aggressively and makes it clear that nobody is allowed to see what's inside the chest. Once the room is cleared, Basim and Nahal approach the chest. Basim breaks the lock, opens the chest, and sees something like a disc inside. When he takes the item into his hands, it starts displaying a projection. The projection shows 2 men, one kneeling and another one interrogating him. While being absorbed into this sorcery they have never seen before, the Caliph appears behind Basim and knocks the item out of his hands. Then, he starts beating him up and chokes him against the wall. While Basim is having a hard time, Nahal sneaks from behind him and drives a knife into the Caliph's neck. The guards finally appear along with Abu, and they go after the thieves. Holding the item in his hands, Basim separates from Nahal and runs through the city to escape from the guards. Eventually, he arrives back home and feels disappointed at how the mission unfolded. That night, Basim has the same nightmare, but this time he is woken up by Roshan instead of Nahal. Roshan asks him what happened, and Basim explains that he has no idea what the item is. Roshan has come to help him because she knows all of the Caliph's guards are looking for him. So, she instructs him to go to the docks where she will have a boat waiting for him. Although Basim knows he is in serious trouble, he can't leave without finding Nahal or warning Darvis that he is in danger. Basim makes a run for the center of the town, but he is presented with a horrible spectacle. Many people have been executed, even the young children he knew. Nahal finds him at that spot, but Basim is now angry at her because he believes none of this would have happened if they did not kill the Caliph. On the other hand, Nahal defends herself by saying that she only attacked him to save themselves. Despite this, Basim blames everything on her and tells her that he does not want to see her ever again. Their fight is interrupted by the guards looking for them, so they both have to run. Basim goes to the docks and tries to approach the boat waiting for him. However, he is seized by the guards and is about to be executed. Thankfully, Roshan appears behind them and kills a couple of the guards. Soon, more guards swarm, and the two of them have to fight their way through them. Once they are up on the roof of a building, they get cornered, and Roshan prompts Basim to jump into the water, although Basim is afraid to do so. He has no other choice. He jumps into the water and has a hard time coming to his senses, but he is motivated when he sees a vision of the monstrous Jinni trying to reach for him. Basim emerges from the water and swims to the land nearby, realizing that he has been carried away from the palace. He follows a path that leads him to Roshan and her people. Over the following days, Roshan starts training Basim, who is having a hard time completing the last step of the training. As they call it, it is the leap of faith, where Basim has to dive from a certain height into a pile of hay sticks. Roshan tells him he is not ready because he gets easily distracted, also explaining how the practice of the leap of faith is essential to being a part of the Hidden Ones, as the caste is called. While the two of them start walking away from the training ground, Basim asks her about the masked men who visited the Caliph. He notes that the Caliph was terrified of them and did not even know their first names. Roshan explains that those men are a part of the organization called the Order, and they run Baghdad. The Caliph was their puppet, and so will be the next Caliph. After a short rest, Basim is sent to see a woman named Rebecca. Rebecca tells him that it is time for Basim to use a real sword instead of a wooden one, even though she objected to Roshan about that. Once she gives him his new dagger and sword, Basim expresses he likes his sword because it seems to have character. Next, Basim will try his new sword in combat training. Roshan once more notices that his body is present, but asks him if his mind and soul are present as well. After she teaches him how to attack with a sword and how to defend against a sword, she ends the training session by knocking him down. Basim complains about that, as he believes he will learn nothing from failure, but Roshan explains that learning consists of two equal parts. One part is the action, and one part is stillness. Since they covered the actionable part, Basim now has to learn to be still. After the training, Basim joins Rebecca and the others around the fire. One of the men, Ahmad, announces that he will be leaving the caste in order to join the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. He will be their eyes and ears there. The discussion is interrupted by a man named Nur, who asks if anybody is willing to go with him on night patrol. Basim goes along with him, and the two of them talk about the safety of this place. Nur comments how he can't estimate how safe a place is, but if anybody attacks them, they will regret it. While they are on their watch, an eagle lands by them, but soon flies away, squeaking. Nur understands that the eagle has seen something, and prompts Basim to follow him. Indeed, they see a bunch of mercenaries who have set up camp nearby. Basim and Nur take some of them out under the cover of the night, but they are soon exposed and engage in a sword fight against the rest. Once they beat all of them, Basim notices their swords and states that these kinds of swords are often used by mercenaries from Baghdad. The two of them return to the base and meet with the leaders of the Hidden Ones. One of them, Mentor Rehan, asks Basim how he can be so sure that these men came from Baghdad. Basim tells him that he was raised in the streets of Baghdad, and since he was a thief, he had seen their swords many times. Rehan exclaims they need to find more information on the incident. He says that somebody must go to Baghdad and meet with a man named Ali. Roshan disagrees because she is not really fond of this man Ali, but Rayhan insists because Ali is the only ally they have in the city. Nur offers to go to Baghdad while Basim stays back and continues his training. Gradually, he becomes better at wielding his sword while also acquiring his own eagle. Basim attains a new level of being, and he is now able to take the leap of faith without being afraid. Soon, he meets with a man named Fulhad inside of a cave and is asked if he is ready for his initiation. Basim states he is ready and asks the man how he felt about his own initiation back in the day. Fulhad replies he was very nervous, but it was all worth it. Basim enters the main room where everybody is waiting for him, and he is presented with a knife. To complete the initiation, Basim must cut one of his fingers off. Although there is lots of pain involved, Basim cuts one of his fingers and officially becomes one of the hidden ones. The next day, Roshan wants to test Basim's skills one last time in a sword fight and invites him to duel as equals. While they begin the duel, they are interrupted by Nur, who can barely stand on his feet. Everybody gathers around him as Nur tries to say something. Basim tells him to calm down and offers him some water. Roshan notices his horse and realizes that Nur had to flee from Baghdad unprepared. Nur manages to utter that Ali is gone. So, Mentor Rayhan orders Roshan, Basim, and Fulhad to go to Baghdad in order to find out what has happened. Soon, the three of them arrive just outside Baghdad. Basim takes a moment to absorb the sight, as this is the place he used to live in. He asks Roshan for permission to take a look around the city because it is calling for him, and she allows him to stay. Once Fulhad gives him the location where they should meet later, they temporarily part their ways. After spending some time in the city, Basim meets with his allies in their safe house. There, Roshan reveals she has found something out about a guy named Beshi who works at the docks. She recognizes his name as being one of Ali's allies, so maybe he knows something. But to get to him, they first have to go see a merchant who was one of the rebels of Baghdad. This merchant was the man whom Nur was talking to. Basim does not need another word and goes straight to see the merchant. To his surprise, he realizes this merchant is none other than his old friend Dervis. Dervis is happy to see him and says he believed him to be dead. After a short talk, Dervis reveals that nobody knows if Ali is dead or alive. The oppressors took him alive, but that was a few weeks ago, so he could be dead. Dervis also gives him the exact location, but warns him not to go there. Of course, Basim does the exact opposite and runs to the outpost where Ali was taken. Although he manages to take out lots of guards, there is no way he can infiltrate, and he can't be sure if Ali is still there. So the next best thing he can do is find Beshi. Upon finding him, Beshi tells him that he also wants to search for Ali, but half of his men are being kept prisoners in the harbor nearby. He asks Basim if he has a sword he can use because he is planning to set his men free. However, Basim tells him that that is not the best way to attack and proposes another plan. Basim will attack the harbor and try to free his men, while Beshi's men on the outside will escort the freed rebels back to safety. Basim does exactly what he promised and brings the prisoners back to Beshi. The prisoners share some new information, saying that they were taken away to be used for labor. Beshi realizes that the man the prisoners are referring to is Al Ghul. He takes the enemies of the caliphate, such as the rebels, and makes them dig in the desert. However, he has no idea what Al Ghul is searching for. Beshi is working on a plan in his mind to pose as a prisoner so he can be sent near to Al Ghul's location. From there, he will be able to look for Ali. Finally, he gives Basim a token, which he calls a Kidma token. When Basim asks him what he should do with it, Beshi replies that the people who recognize its value will do everything in their power to help him. Basim returns to the safe house with his new information and shares it with his allies. After a short conversation, Basim assures that Ali must have been taken to the Damascus Gate prison. Roshan tells him to do everything in his power to find Ali, while she will go and find the rebels he freed in order to have a talk with them. Later, Fulhad and Basim meet a few dozen meters away from the prison, and Fulhad comments that the prison seems as cruel as he remembers it. Basim did not know that Fulhad had been imprisoned here, but the latter explains he was not. However, he used to spend a lot of time outside the prison as a child because his father was a prisoner. He used to fly his kite as high as he could above the prison, hoping that his father would see it and recognize it as his son's. Unfortunately, he doesn't know if his father ever did, because he never got a chance to talk to him again. After Falhad concludes his story, the two of them realize that there is no way to get into the prison from the front door. Falhad suggests to either ask the rebels for help or find a merchant that can help him sneak in. Basim proceeds to have a talk with a young rebel and asks him for his help. The rebel is reluctant because he is not certain if he can trust Basim, but the latter shows him the token, saying that it was given to him by Beshi. Being a friend of Beshi's, the rebel has no doubt that Basim can be trusted and suggests gathering some more rebels to pick a fight with the prison guards. That will create a distraction and Basim will be able to sneak into the prison. Indeed, a few rebels start fighting against the prison guards, and that buys Basim some time to climb on the prison wall and infiltrate it. After killing many of the guards, Basim finds a prisoner who reveals to him Ali is being tortured by the jailer. Soon, Basim finds the room Ali is being tortured there. However, Ali is not in a hurry to leave because he wants to learn more information on Al Ghul's location. The two of them wander around the prison until they find a room where the files are kept. At the same time, the prison guards catch up with them, so Basim has to hold the door while Ali looks around for information. Once Ali has found a book that seems useful to him, Basim tells him to run straight to his master, Roshan. While Ali runs away, Basim has to deal with the guards and then make his way out of the prison as well. Later that night, Basim reunites with Ali and finds him speaking to his men. Once Ali notices him, he publicly acknowledges that Basim is the person who freed him from the prison. And from what he's heard, he is not the only one to be freed by him. Right next, the two of them meet with Roshan, and Ali gives them the file he stole earlier in the prison, as it appears it is not just prisoners and rebels that Al Ghul is using to dig around Baghdad, but he also buys immigrant laborers. While they talk, Beshi rushes into the room and tells everyone his plan didn't entirely work. He was made by the guards and he had to run. Ali tells him that his plan was poor and would never yield any results, but Beshi replies that he had some intel for them. He overheard the guards saying that Al Ghul will be present at the caravanserai. Basim comments that it makes sense for him to be there since that's the potential place where he conducts business to buy laborers. Basim asks Ali what Al Ghul looks like, and the latter describes him as a big man who likes fancy jewelry, which probably makes him hard to miss. Ali asks them what the plan is, but Roshan clarifies that he and his men are not going to be a part of that plan. Basim is the one who will figure out a plan and execute it. Ali is kinda disappointed at that, but he also can't imagine how a single man will try to approach Al Ghul on his own. Despite his opinion, Roshan does not change her mind and tells him that Ali will only slow them down. Basim and Roshan act fast, finding themselves just outside of the caravanserai real soon. Roshan prompts him to go ahead and do whatever he can to assassinate Al Ghul. She advises him to be reactive, but also be patient until the perfect opportunity presents itself and invites him to act. While they talk, Basim notices a man walk out to the balcony. This man's name is Masood, but he fits Ali's description. So Basim assumes that there is a possibility he is Al Ghul. Basim approaches the huge building and has a quick talk with a distressed merchant. The merchant is waiting for Masood's men to return a chest full of spices to him. Basim comes up with a plan to lure Masood out, so he gets the chest back for the merchant. The merchant offers to treat him with a meal for his help, but Basim only wants him to leave so that Masood would be upset and come outside. However, Basim finds an opening and decides to act on it. He climbs on the balcony, kills a guard, and then jumps on Masood. After stabbing him, he ties a rope around his neck and jumps with him from the balcony, assassinating Al Ghul by hanging him. Al Ghul's death transfers Basim into a metaphysical shadow world. Al Ghul speaks to him and starts saying that the things in the desert have been calling for them. Basim has no idea what the man is talking about, but Al Ghul tells him he already knows, hinting that he is talking about the monstrous Jinni. In any case, Basim soaks a feather into Al Ghul's blood, and the latter disintegrates in thin air. When Basim returns to the real world, he notices everybody is staring at him in a chaotic state. One of those people is Nahal. However, they don't have any time to catch up, as Roshan takes Basim with her before the guards attack them. When the two of them get a chance to rest, Basim expresses he is very troubled. He believes that Al Ghul was searching for some relics similar to the one he found in the Caliph's palace. Basim is filled with questions, but he is having a hard time speaking openly. Rashan tells him she cannot guide him if he is not honest with her, so she prompts him to speak freely. Basim reveals that he has been tormented by nightmares, but those nightmares left him when he started training to join the Hidden Ones. However, his nightmare returned when he killed Al Ghul. Not exactly, but he felt the presence of the Jinni. Rashan advises him to eliminate his weakness by finding a way to fight against it. But there is also another thing bothering Basim. He wants to get in touch with his old friend Nahal and make things right with her. Although she means a great deal to him, he led her to believe otherwise last time they met. Rashan gives him permission to try to heal his wound, so Basim travels to Anbar in order to find Nahal. He finds her living in the city, and the two of them hug as soon as they see each other. Apparently, they are both equally sorry for what has happened in the past. After some funny talk and messing up with one another, Basim realizes that Nahal has been obsessing over a symbol that she has drawn on the wall. Nahal claims this is the symbol she saw on the relic of the Winter Palace, and believes she has seen it before. She can't recall the time or place, but she is certain she has seen it. This has been a mystery to her that calls her to unveil. For now, Basim has to go back to Rashan and finds her speaking to Fulhad. Although Al Ghul is dead, Fulhad has uncovered various locations where the Order is still digging. They have to find out what is going on. However, Basim has yet another problem to face. Upon arriving at the place the Hidden Ones call their bureau, he is informed that Ahmad has gone missing. The Bureau's spies tried to contact him in the House of Wisdom, but they failed. So now, it is up to Basim to discover what has happened to him. Soon, Basim arrives near the House of Wisdom and sees white smoke coming from the building. Upon entering the building, he sees an old man named Fazil telling the people not to worry because the fire has been contained, even though some of the books have been burned. Wondering if this man knows Ahmad, Basim approaches him indirectly and asks him what kind of books were burned. When the old man replies that it is too soon to tell, Basim asks him if the bookkeeper, Ahmad, would know something more. The old man tells him it's been a few days since he last saw Ahmad, and Basim gets on his way. While he wanders around the library, he realizes that some places are guarded, so there must be something going on. At some point, he enters a room and finds a man working on a book. The man is afraid and asks Basim not to kill him because he is close to cracking the book. Basim assures him he is not going to kill him and asks him what he is trying to crack. The man replies he is working on cracking this unknown book, but he has made no progress. He lied about his progress because the woman who was keeping him there by force threatened that she would kill him if he did not crack it. However, that book is written in a language that has never been seen before, and there is no chance he can crack it. Basim asks him about the woman, and the man reveals her name is Zara. Since there is nothing else the man knows about her, Basim prompts him to leave now because there are no guards around. That night, Basim visits the House of Wisdom again to ask around about Ahmad. There, he accidentally meets with Nahal, who has come to steal a book she believes will help her with her research about the symbol. Basim has to move on to look for Ahmad. While asking around, he stumbles on a man who tells him that he might be able to help. However, this man leads Basim straight into a trap. After dealing with the guards, Basim asks the man why they led him into an ambush. The man replies he was forced to do it by the masked man who paid him a visit. He further explains that there is a dig site near the House of Wisdom, and the masked man wants to keep people away from it. Finally, the man draws a map for Basim that will lead him to the dig site. Indeed, Basim is able to find the dig site, but not Ahmad. However, he finds a note that connects Ahmad to a doctor named Hassan. So he has a new clue now. Basim is able to find Dr. Hassan's location, and he assassinates him without a second thought. While he is standing in the room, Ahmad walks in from the door behind him. Basim is concerned because Hassan has worked for the Order, so he asks Ahmad if he is aware of that. Ahmad claims he has no idea. He was working with Hassan because that's what he does. His mission was to discover new knowledge. The two of them were working on something like a mechanism that was found in the desert. This mechanism opens the perception of the people who come into contact with it. However, that's not in a good way, since most of them go crazy and develop a desire to live in the ancient world they see in their visions. With that said, Basim orders Ahmad to return to the Bureau and reassures him that he will not tell anyone he was working with Hassan. While Ahmad leaves, he comments that it's unfortunate how knowledge always ends up in the wrong hands. Next, Basim meets with a man named Tabid, who is a member of the Hidden Ones. Basim starts telling him what he has seen, that the Order is experimenting on people and that they are trying to build something like a tool or device. Tabid clarifies that they are calling that device the Great Work, but nobody knows what it is yet. Basim lets him know that the House of Wisdom is corrupt and that he believes their leader, Fazil, to be the most corrupt of them all. Tabid informs him that the House of Wisdom will be holding the Great Symposium, which is an informal meeting of scholars. He prompts Basim to spy on Fazil and kill him if he is certain that the old man is running a scheme. Before Basim leaves, Tabid gives him a feather so he can soak it in the blood of his target. When Basim makes his way to the House of Wisdom, he finds Nahal wandering around. She approaches him and tells him she has something to show him. She takes him to one of the rooms and presents him with a symbol that reminds her of the symbol they saw on the relic back in the Winter Palace. Basim is silent, so Nahal asks him if he knows something about this symbol. Nahal claims it is possible there are other creatures or even other people away from the stars they are able to see. She feels like she is getting close to uncovering something big, maybe even magical, but she can't find out what. Although Basim has more information than Nahal, he doesn't reveal what he knows, saying that sometimes it is better not to know the truth the things they must do. Nahal is worried about him, stating that she fears Basim is losing himself. When the two of them part ways, Basim goes outside, but he has to wait until Fazil's lecture starts. Wandering around, he stumbles on his favorite female poet, and the two of them indulge in a conversation about her work. Soon, Fazil's lecture is about to begin, and Basim enters the symposium. Fazil begins talking by presenting himself as the wisest of the wise. Then, he warns everyone not to be afraid of what they are going to hear today, because it will be something they have never heard before. He claims the ancient scientists have warned them about creatures that are not like humans. In fact, they had warned them about giants that worshipped idols other than Allah. The attendants start chattering and commenting on Fazil's words, but the old man is excited and keeps talking. While he does, Basim walks nearer and nearer to him, preparing his blade. While he is ready to attack, Fazil's young assistant approaches the old man and informs him that Dr. Hassan is dead. He was killed by an assassin's blade. The young man suggests it is better for Fazil to leave, so the two of them end the talk abruptly and flee. Basim misses the opportunity to kill Fazil, but he vows to do so very soon. He knows that Fazil is with the Order, and he will kill the old man for all the people he has savaged in order to develop his great work. Basim goes on the hunt again for Fazil. By bribing a member of the House of Wisdom, he finds out that there are secret basements under the building. He infiltrates the basement and disguises himself as a civilian who is about to be used as an experiment for the Great Work. Once he is met by Fazil, the old man clears the room and places Basim in the center of the mechanism. While activating it, he comments that knowledge is the ultimate power. Basim tells him no, so Fazil approaches him to learn his point of view. Right then, Basim uses his knife to kill Fazil, and the two of them are transferred into the Shadow World, where Basim soaks the feather in the old man's blood. When he returns back to the real world, Basim attends a new meeting along with Falhad, Ali, and Beshi. As he is informed, mercenaries have been abducting rebels and killing them. Falhad assumes this must be the doing of the Order because the Caliph would not risk starting a war. Ali wants to act, seeking retribution, but Falhad tells him that the Order is looking for him and Beshi, so they better stay low for the moment being. Basim offers to help them and find out who is leading the mercenaries. To do that, he goes with Ali to Jarjaraya to search for credible information on the mercenaries. Basim visits the local tea house and hears about slaves that have been disappearing. He has a talk with a drunk civilian who tells him that two of his slaves disappeared last night. They went to the fields for work, but they never returned. The owner of the tea house hears them talking and invites Basim for a private talk. He reveals that slaves have been disappearing from everywhere and tells them about a farm nearby. The farm belongs to a widow who, after losing her husband, lost her son as well. Basim returns to Ali with this information, only to find him beating up a mercenary he has abducted. The mercenary has told him that there is an informant of the Caliphate conducting business in this location. So maybe Basim can figure something out if he finds that informant. Basim begins by visiting the widow and offers to help her with her husband's burial. On top of that, he finds a letter that belongs to her son, outlining that he was trying to find out what happened to his father. The letter was talking about a farm, so the widow understands it refers to Dogan's farm, which is full of mercenaries. Basim promises to look out for her son, but first, he has to find the informant. After he finds the informant, he follows him around and overhears him speaking to a soldier. Something big is going to happen soon. Basim returns to Ali and discovers he has killed the mercenary he was interrogating. The mercenary has told him that the rebels are being taken for interrogation and then they are executed. Ali instructs Basim to go free his men while he prepares some of his other men for an attack. Basim attacks the farm and frees all of the men, including the widow's son. Once they get back to Ali, they orchestrate an attack on Dogan's farm and are able to defeat him. Basim finds a letter that was sent to Dogan and figures out that he was following orders. He was to report to the officers' club, so that is Basim's next stop. Basim infiltrates the officers' club and finds two officers speaking with one another. As it appears, there is one more officer who is the most powerful among them, but he is not present. Soon, the two officers are notified by their men that Dogan is dead, and they are taken to safety. Basim escapes and meets with Fulhad and Ali, informing them of the intel he has acquired. Fulhad and Ali figure out who the two officers are, but they have never heard about the third one. Fulhad advises Basim to go find the two officers, and he will get to the third through them. Basim makes his move on the two officers and manages to kill both of them. He returns to Fulhad and Ali, sharing with them the information he has acquired. As it appears, the third officer will be attending the Great Garrison. Putting the two dots together, Fulhad makes the hypothesis that the third officer must be the General Wasif. His rank justifies him being at the Great Garrison. Ali informs Basim that Beshi never came back. So if he has been taken, the Great Garrison is the place they can find him. Ali wants to make a move, but Fulhad tells him to wait for Basim because he will need him. When Ali walks away, Fulhad gives Basim a feather and instructs him to kill Wasif, but make it look like he was killed by Ali. Basim and Ali soon arrive just outside the garrison and watch over Wasif having a talk with Baghdad's governor. Basim knows it will be hard to get to Wasif, but Ali tells him there is a cook inside the garrison who has joined Ali's cause. If Basim can find him and show him their token, the cook will help him and give him access to the building. In the meantime, Ali will try to find Beshi and free him along with the other men who have been captured. Basim sneaks into the building and takes out as many soldiers as he can. However, he is late and finds Beshi tied against a chair. General Wasif grabs a sword and tells Beshi that he has chosen the wrong side. Beshi replies that only God can be the judge of that. But Wasif drives the sword through Beshi's body and kills him. After the general leaves, Ali arrives at the scene and is infuriated. He jumps on the soldiers and picks a fight with them. Since he is outnumbered, Basim has to help him, and they defeat the soldiers together. Basim instructs Ali to get the rest of his men and go outside, but Ali believes this is the perfect opportunity to attack from the inside. Basim sneaks inside the building and kills many guards before freeing Ali's men. When the two of them meet again, Ali suggests a plan. Basim will light a fire because that will force the soldiers to signal an alarm. The soldiers will be drawn outside, where Ali and his men will be waiting for them. While the two opposite parties fight, Basim will get an opening to infiltrate Wasif's room and kill him. Indeed, Basim lights the fire and the soldiers are drawn out, picking a fight with Ali's men. Basim infiltrates Wasif's room and terminates him in a single move. The two of them are transferred to the Shadow World, where Basim follows his usual routine, soaking a feather in his blood. While Wasif disintegrates, Basim sees the mysterious creature lurking on him again, but he is soon taken back to the real world. At the same time, Ali enters the room and finds Wasif lying dead. When he hears his men approaching, he drives his sword into Wasif's body to make it look like he was the one to kill him. His men start cheering for him, believing their leader is the one to put an end to Wasif's tyranny. Then they have to fight their way out, and Basim returns to meet Fulhad. He talks to him about Wasif and the governor of Baghdad, so Fulhad states he will keep an eye out on the latter. Right next, Basim goes to Kark and meets with Roshan and Rebecca. They inform him that this region is being a tough place to live for the poor because the guards have started seizing some of the goods. Of course, they suspect the Order is hiding behind this bold move. Rebecca talks about an auction event that will take place and believes that some of their targets may attend. The event is invite only, so Basim will have to find a way in. While he and Roshan take a walk through the city, Basim asks her about her first murder. Roshan narrates her first kill happened before she joined the Hidden Ones, but she has buried the memories of that murder along with the man she killed. She refuses to let her past define her. Basim believes it is time for him to visit an old friend and ask for help. He meets with a man named Kong, who is a seller of herbs and tea. After they briefly catch up, Basim informs him that he needs to enter the grand auction. Kong tells him that the guards are blocking his products from arriving, so if Basim can help him with that, Kong will help him get into the auction. Basim realizes that the products of the merchants are being blocked near the river because the guards are looking for something like an artifact. After taking care of them and returning to Kong with the good news, the man gives Basim an invitation that he has acquired. That invitation will get Basim inside the auction, but Kong can't tell him how he got it. Basim has some time to wander around the market, and he finds out that most of the merchants are complaining about their taxes and merchandise. While speaking with some of them, he hears that the merchants who are not from Baghdad are being targeted, some of them even disappearing. Having a strong will to help them, Basim escorts one of them to safety and then kills the tax collector. While searching through his room, he figures out that there is somebody else pulling the strings. Next, Basim returns to Roshan and Rebecca, discussing what they have gathered till now. They conclude that there is a man they call the Treasurer, who is looking for a rare hairpin. Basim is certain that the hairpin will be at the auction, so he believes he will have the chance to get his hands on the Treasurer. As always, Roshan gives him a feather when they are alone, and Basim knows very well what to do with it. Later, Basim attends the auction and finds out that the Treasurer is a woman named Ning. Despite her wanting the item, she only bids once for it, and the hairpin ends up in another merchant's hands. After the auction, Basim decides to steal the hairpin and go knocking on Ning's door, saying he has brought a gift for her. Ning agrees to see him, and she empties the room when she realizes that the gift Basim brought is the hairpin. The two of them engage in a short discussion, where Ning narrates how she managed to climb the ranks. Eventually, she expresses that everybody is alone in life and attacks Basim. Basim defends himself and finishes her off by driving his blade through her throat. Once they are transferred to the Shadow World, Basim sees a reflection of himself, while a dying Ning tells him that people believe family is important, even though everyone dies alone in the end. When everything dissolves away, Basim sees the Jinni again, but this time their interaction feels even more intense. After resting for a while with his old friend Nahal, Basim returns to the palace since the Caliph has lost some of his power. Basim tries to turn the conversation around and talk about the relic he has found in a chest a few years back in the Winter Palace. But Fulhad walks in and brings him back to the main point. Basim's next mission is to investigate 3 new targets that have had connections to the Order: Muhammad, the governor of Baghdad, Kabiha, a perfume maker, and Arib, the female poet. Basim decides to start with Arib and pays her a visit, but a patron of hers opens the door without allowing Basim to talk to her. Basim meets her later in public, and they are interrupted by her patron again. Only this time Basim decides to do something about it and fights the man and his guards. While Basim is busy fighting, Arib leaves, so now he has to focus on Kabiha. To find more information about her, Basim walks right into the Caliphate and claims this is the first day of his new job in the kitchen. While he wanders around, he is caught trying to break into Kabiha's office by a stewardess named Makira. However, Basim persuades her to make a trade. He will do some favors for her, and she will give him the key to the office, while also keeping his secret safe. Basim takes the time to investigate her office. Although he finds the hairpin inside, he is not able to find anything else that could serve him as a lead. Basim decides to move on to his next target, and is able to find the governor's office. He finds some suspicious letters in it and is soon met by the governor himself. Muhammad claims he has no ties to the order, but he has used them in the past to make a number of deals. Basim requires to know the names of the remaining high-ranked members of the order, but the governor knows what Basim intends to do. The problem for him is that if Basim fails, the order will go after him and kill him. Basim lets the governor live, but the latter proves to be devious and calls his guards on the Hidden One. Basim flees and meets with Roshan again, telling her that Arib is innocent. While Kabiha is probably the head of the snake because she is also the Caliph's mother, a detail they were not aware of earlier, Basim requires to get a feather in order to kill Kabiha, but Roshan refuses to give it to him. She believes that this job requires a special delicacy and that she should be the one to execute it. Basim is displeased at that, but Roshan tells him he should not be because all the Hidden Ones work together. The master asks Basim if it is his ego speaking, but the latter replies that it is just his sense of duty making him eager to carry on this mission. Hearing that, Roshan decides to give him the feather, but warns him to be careful, because this is going to be his most dangerous mission. Basim makes his move and enters the palace, but there are many places he does not have access to. In this case, he bribes a eunuch from the palace, and he helps him enter. Basim secretly sneaks onto the Caliph and holds him at knife point, asking about Kabiha. However, the Caliph has no idea where his mother is hiding. Despite this, Basim discovers a secret passage and is able to find Kabiha. However, he restrains himself from killing her when she tells him that he is more than a man. There is a truth that the Hidden Ones have concealed from him, as she tells him to go with her to Alamut, home of the Hidden Ones, and visit the temples underground. Roshan appears behind her and kills her. Basim is mad for that, and the two of them end up fighting. In fact, Roshan threatens him that she will kill him herself if he follows the path that Kabiha outlined for him. Basim returns to Nahal and tells her everything that has happened. The two of them decide to ride to Alamut, only to realize it is being under attack. Nahal and Basim have to split, while the latter fights against as many enemies as possible. Then, he meets with Mentor Rayhan and has a talk with him, telling him that he is going to find out what lies beneath the temple. Rayhan tries to hold him from doing so, but Basim convinces him that he is the right person. If such a strong secret ends up in somebody's hands, it must be his. When Basim makes his way into the temple, Roshan tries to stop him, but fails to do so. Nahal appears again and prompts Basim to open the giant gate by cutting his hand and using his blood as the key. When they explore the inside, Basim finds something like a pod. When he opens it, he is confused to find Nahal inside, but somehow she teleports out of it and activates the relic they first saw in the Winter Palace. Basim sees that projection again, but now realizes that the man being tortured is himself in a past life. Then a quick flashback shows us that Nahal was never real, but she was rather a part of Basim, an aspect of his character that accompanies his soul through the ages. In addition, Basim visits the Shadow World and now realizes that the monstrous Jinni is nothing more than a memory of his past life. Understanding that he has to accept what happened in the past, he makes amends with it and sends the Jinni into nothingness. Right next, Nahal becomes one with him, and the aspects of his character merge with one another. Finally, Basim returns to real life again and calls for his eagle. The eagle flies near him, but it changes direction in the last minute while scratching Basim's face, indicating that something has changed with him.